PlayTime. This 1967 film opened a few doors and did some things that have not been done before, according to the film's very own director, Jacques Tati. No, but PlayTime does have a unique approach to filmmaking. Avoiding close-up and shot on 70mm film, resulting in a wide screen, the film often has a Where's Waldo feel to it, making the viewer search the image on screen for the action or multiple actions occurring within the frame. PlayTime also does something else unique, with its set. PlayTime's set was completely built from the ground up, with it being the most expensive film made in France at the time. The film constructs a sleek and modern cityscape, filled with consumerist gadgets and windows so clean you can hardly remember they're there. Monsieur. PlayTime seems to take inspiration from many different art forms. Jacques Tati even says, PlayTime is completely unlike a literary film. It is written in images, more like a ballet. The set is particularly reminiscent of the minimalism genre of art that was popularized in the 60s when this film was made and released. Minimalist art was big on simplicity, the beauty of mass production, and material forms, particularly cubes and geometric shapes. This is the prominent style of boxy, glass, and steel architecture in PlayTime. The film's cinematography captures a simplistic style as well, often still or slowly gliding shots that don't evoke a human hand, similarly to how minimalist art tried to evoke machine production. The film, just like minimalist artists of the time, ask the viewer to observe and make their own meaning from the images shown to us without a straightforward answer. In PlayTime, there is only a loose story arc, following the Americans as they tour around Paris and Hulo as he bumbles around the city. In an essay by Brian Eggert on PlayTime, Eggert uses a quote by Tati to illustrate this connection between formal art and PlayTime's unique method of storytelling. Tati says, "I'm in the position of a painter painting a canvas." In particular, he described PlayTime as abstract art, and in terms of how his aesthetic approach innovates on the traditional methods of cinema. His remarks precisely illustrate how the film resists narrative in favor of a methodical and mannered formal technique. That was all Brian Eggert. Another distinction between narrative cinema and cinema as art is discussed in Martin Lefebvre's book, Landscape and Film. In the chapter Between Setting and Landscape in the Cinema, Lefebvre explains that setting and landscape are essentially opposites in narrative film. Lefebvre defines setting as the place where something happens, where something takes place and unfolds. So the setting is defined by what happens on screen and often is inferred from what is depicted. Such as in PlayTime. In the second half of the film, the setting is the Royal Garden, Paris, France. Landscape for Lefebvre is the opposite of setting. It is freed from its service to the story, thus granting it the status of autonomous landscape. Landscape in cinema is when there is no narrative trajectory, and it is just the spectacle of landscape to view on screen. Lefebvre notes this contradiction. Films can have both setting and landscape, but the audience cannot see both at the same time. So spectators watch the film at some points in the narrative mode and at others in the spectacular mode, allowing them both to follow the story and, whenever necessary, to contemplate the filmic spectacle. In PlayTime, the viewer's eye wanders the scene, switching between looking for action and story in the narrative view to switching to the spectacular view and viewing the scene as a landscape. Jacques Tati built this whole new sanitized and industrialized Paris, this Tativille as it was called on set, to remind us to not forget that we are human, that we must participate in our lives and not let all this new industry make us forget that. PlayTime is a critique of industrialization. Not to say that it is inherently bad. If I had really wanted to attack modern architecture, then I would have chosen something really ugly, remarks Tati, but instead to warn us to not let it get too far. In Anne Friedberg's book, Window Shopping, her chapter on The Mall reminds us of PlayTime's own little shopping center. Friedberg says, "The mall is a contemporary phantasmagoria, enforcing a blindness to a range of urban blights, the homeless, beggars, crime, traffic, even weather. The mall creates a nostalgic image of the town center as clean, safe, and legible place, but a peculiarly timeless place. The whole of PlayTime seems to be in a mall such as this, timeless, clean, safe, and absent of urban blights." In Guy Debord's Society of the Spectacle, Debord is tackling this idea that industrialization and the spectacle, aka images and media we consume on a daily basis, is controlling our actions and thoughts. Debord warns, the more he contemplates, the less he lives. The more he identifies with the dominant images of need, the less he understands his own life and his own desires. The spectacle's estrangement from the acting subject is expressed by the fact that the individual's gestures are no longer his own. They are the gestures of someone else who represents them to him. And Tati does not want us to become unfeeling consumers, such as the spectacle is suggesting we are becoming. Playtime makes our eyes search the screen, makes us work to find joy in things, simply because we find joy in them, not because someone else told us it was funny. This is precisely what I was looking for when I made Playtime. I wanted to get people to participate more, to let them change the gears for themselves, not to have me do all the work for them. All the risks I took with the film were for that. If, as a director, you always have to dot all the I's, then life isn't worth living. You're just one of the crowd, says Jacques Tati. It has now been 59 years since Playtime came out, and capitalism and industrialization has only grown exponentially since 1967. As the world continues to shape us into consumers, we have to fight even more to have our own thoughts and opinions in this world of automation. Playtime is a film that has connected art methods of the 60s to filmmaking and created a movie that fights against the spectacle that is dominating our world. Thank you for watching, and thank you for this awesome class. I had a great time, and I learned so much. I hope you have a great spring break.